Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title, today's video is going to be a little different from my normal content. This video is about me healing my inner child and breaking free from narcissistic abuse. I don't really show much of who I truly am and what I've been through in my life, and it's been weighing heavy on my heart to share my story, so that's what I'm gonna do. My mom and I never had a relationship. As a child, I was always isolated and outcasted, which played a huge part in my childhood and becoming adult years. My mom would not only physically abuse me, but also mentally, verbally, and emotionally abuse me as well. She would pit my siblings and I against each other, and she still does to this day. I'm the youngest of 5, so everyone always felt like they had this sort of power over me, specifically my mom and my eldest sister. I never felt safe around my mom or any of my siblings, and I couldn't trust them because even with them witnessing her bullying, hate, and abuse towards me, they would ignore it. Or they would just say, you know how mama is. She would pick at me over the smallest things, and sometimes over nothing at all. I got treated the worst when I barely ever said a word to her. I always felt alone, invisible, and misunderstood. Our whole family dynamic only consists of manipulation, chaos, lies, bullying, spreading rumors. I mean, the list can really go on and on. She cloaked herself in religion to appear as this strong, well put together, righteous woman when she is the complete opposite. However, I didn't fully understand it because that was all I was used to experiencing. Thankfully, at the age of 18, I got into a loving relationship with my then boyfriend, now husband Kenneth. And being around him and his family, I learned what a healthy and true family dynamic looked like. I started to realize that it was a choice to be around and put up with the toxic family behavior that I was used to. My family also realized this and attempted over many years to sabotage my relationship with Kenneth. Specifically, my eldest sister played a central role in this. While this marked the beginning of our problems, my eldest sister and I were always close growing up. I was the closest to her out of all of my siblings. It wasn't until I got into this serious relationship that she began to target me out of what I can only think is jealousy. She spread false rumors about me, my husband, and our relationship as a whole. She publicly tried to humiliate me and my husband by telling anyone who would listen that he had a thing for her, essentially trying to break us up and make me look desperate. Now, my husband and I have known each other since the 7th grade. We were always friends through elementary school, through high school, and through college. He only knew her through me. They never hung out. It was always a high and by. He never gave her any reason to think he was into her. So are you into him? Anyways, she spread this lie to my mom, my siblings, and to all her friends behind my back. At the time, I wasn't aware we even had an issue because she would smile in my face and we would talk like normal about my feelings, my goals, and other personal things that I wouldn't talk to anyone else about. She spun false narratives and gossip about me to my other siblings and my mom, and this caused them to become hostile towards Kenneth as well. My mom would tell me he was going to leave me when he got his degree. She would tell me I was settling, insinuate that he was being unfaithful, send my brothers to send empty threats towards him, tell him I was delusional, and much more. I started to physically distance myself the more this went on by moving away and not showing up for the holidays. Eventually, I made the decision to go no contact with my entire family for the sake of my mental well-being. Fast forward to the year of 2020, I had been estranged for years and going to therapy to work on my mental health and my family trauma. Then I got news that my mom got into a near fatal car accident, so I regained contact with my mom and my siblings. I definitely still had hope around that time, so through the advice of my therapist, I decided to write my mom a letter expressing to her how she made me feel growing up. I felt like with her being bedridden and at a critical point in her life, I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to fully open up, be vulnerable, and be heard, but I was wrong. After expressing my pain, how she made me feel, how she didn't show up for my baby shower or my beauty school graduation, how she told me that she likes her other daughters more than me, I never received an apology. She instead said, "I resent to being pregnant with you." She never wanted to be pregnant with me due to the distaste that she has for my father. That alone let me know all I needed to know. But regardless, I still thought we could move past it and she would somehow have a newfound respect for me as a human being and as her daughter. But I was wrong again. Against my intuition, I stayed in contact with everyone. I started coming around again and trying to rebuild broken bonds with my siblings. This took a tremendous amount of effort on my part, specifically because I realized there was never going to be any real heart-to-hearts, mature conversations, or apologies about any of the behaviors that led me to going no contact in the first place. I just had to pick up where we left off and pretend that everything was okay, like we never had any problems. But even though this made me uncomfortable, I pushed past it because we were family. I especially began to spend more time with my sisters. We began to talk on the phone more and even took a sister's trip to Atlanta later that year. But that's when the weird tension started yet again with my eldest sister. The trip seemed to go really well and everyone seemed to be happy, but for some reason she randomly blocked me on all of her social media accounts 1 week later. She always had a habit of doing that with people that she was into it with. But to this day, I still don't understand why she did it to me after we were just having a good time together. We proceeded to not talk for nearly a year, and I only stayed in contact with my mom and my other 3 siblings. So 7 months later, she decides to reach out to reconcile. And I decided to give it another try because at that time, my mind was still trained to believe that family comes first. And honestly, I missed the way we used to bond, so I figured, why not? Come June of 2021, we both attend my brother's wedding and we see each other for the first time since November of 2020. I pulled her to the side and expressed to her that I would like for this to be the last time that we disconnected, so let's settle everything right here, right now. We expressed ourselves and we got things off of our chests, but one thing that stood out was her lack of accountability. She never acknowledged her blocking me, and she never admitted that she spread the false rumor. She instead blamed my mom for making the whole thing up and spreading it. I feel like she just put it off on my mom because she knew we already didn't have the best of a relationship, so it would be easy for me to believe. It was almost as if she wanted me to just forget about it and think about all of the good times and just move past it. And to be honest, at the time, I was just happy to be talking to her again. So I just decided to let her run with her story without even questioning how illogical most of it was. Fast forward to December of 2022, the same old started happening again. Family fights, family bickering, family gossip, family chaos, and much more. So I decided to go no contact with everyone except my eldest sister. I had so much faith that after my mom's near-death experience, change will come about in this family. But slowly but surely, all of the same toxic family ways started to resurface. And I just couldn't take it anymore. So that was my last year speaking to any of them. And I don't plan to ever again. At that point, my eldest sister and I were all we had because she too went no contact with them for her own reasons. Our relationship became stronger as I felt like we were getting to know each other again after all of the on and off over the years. We would talk on the phone daily, hang out, go to concerts, host events, all of the things. It felt good to have a close relationship with someone aside from my husband because I don't really have many friends, as it was always hard for me to make female friends specifically. And I now realize that this was due to the lack of a relationship I had with my mom. So it felt good to hang with my sister and do sisterly things. Throughout 2023 to 2024, we started hanging out more, and I realized that she had habits that I wasn't aware of. All of this hanging out and spending so much time together was fairly new to me, and it was a lot that I had to learn about her and how she operates. Over time, I started to see that she has some of the same toxic traits as my mom, and I don't see how I missed this because those two were very tight. They did everything together before their falling out. So I don't know how I thought she would be any different. A part of me feels like maybe I always knew it, but I wanted to avoid the thought because I was enjoying our bond. But now looking back, I realized that we were only bonding off of the trauma that my mom had caused me all of my life and the trauma that my mom had just recently caused her. By July of 2024, after a year of us bonding and me trying to be a support system for her, she started acting weird and ghosting me with no explanation yet again. And I decided that this time would be the last time. Her silence was honestly a huge shock to me because it literally came out of nowhere. We were literally just talking and I was literally just helping her with resources when it came to finances, job searching, housing, and other things that I won't dive deep into. I tried my best to be there for her in her tough season. Even though I was going through a stressful career change and I was adjusting to my new life as being a wife, even in my major life shift, I was still there to support her with her relationship and friendship problems. I never wanted anything in return. All I wanted was for her to be in a better position so that she could show up for herself without the help of anyone else, which is something that she's not used to. I didn't check in to see what was wrong with her because I thought we had got past all the ghosting, and we made an agreement that we would express ourselves if there were ever an issue. I was no longer interested in fixing problems that I didn't cause or dealing with her childlike behavior. So I let it play out, and I'm so glad I did because this is when her true feelings and intentions started to show. At this point, it's September, which makes 2 months of her not talking to me. My other sisters on my dad's side, her and I, have a group chat, and we're all planning a cabin trip for the upcoming birthdays, which includes her birthday. So we're all chatting in the group chat, and I realized that she's the only one not responding. This is where all of her direct gaslighting and manipulation began. So she decided to call me after 2 months of not speaking to me, and she claimed no one was filling her in on the plans and she didn't know what was going on. So at this point, I feel like she's trying to act clueless and she's trying to cause an issue because aren't we all in the same group chat? How are you not up to speed with the planning for your birthday trip? It's your birthday. So I asked, aren't you in the group chat? She said, yeah, but I silenced the messages because I don't have time. So I'm thinking to myself, you purposely ignored the group chat messages and you intentionally didn't respond because you're feeling away? Okay, I took note, played along, filled her in, and we got off the phone. A couple days go by, and I guess she now decides to pick up her communication with me because she sees that the trip is going to happen with or without her. What I've noticed about how she operates in all of her relationships is there's sort of an entitlement/control dynamic she needs to have to feel satisfied. She likes to be chased and catered to while she runs and makes things difficult. She expects the chase, but I guess she saw that I wasn't playing her game. So instead of being mature and checking herself at the door, she decided to strategically plot and plan to sabotage the cabin trip and the group as a whole, which is typical narcissist behavior. So she texts me and says that she's now going to have a separate birthday dinner because she allegedly didn't have any knowledge on the planning and she didn't know what was going on. I'm thinking, well, you just admitted to me that you were in the group chat, which means that you received every message and you intentionally ignored them. So the lack of knowledge on the planning had nothing to do with anyone but you. Now, I wasn't aware at the time, but I later found out that she only texted me about her birthday dinner. I thought we were all supposed to be celebrating together like we've been doing for the past couple of years. Why do you all of a sudden want to do something separate and drag me along? What is your real issue here? So at this point, I knew exactly what was going on and I knew exactly what she was trying to do. Mind you, it's September. Her birthday is in November. You don't need to reserve a dinner at a restaurant 1.5 months in advance. She just wanted to feel in control and pop off her separate dinner before the main event. So she intentionally tried to separate and sabotage the group by planning a separate event and trying to insert me to pick a side. I left her message on red for 2 days and I eventually responded and told her that I wouldn't be able to make her event and I hope that she has a great time. She proceeds to call me immediately after and asked why I wouldn't be able to attend. And my response was, the plan was to do a cabin trip, not separate events. Plus, it's the week of my 10-year anniversary, so I won't be able to make it. She then attempts to gaslight me by saying, oh, okay, well, I came to your birthday dinner. Emphasis on your, but okay. Keep in mind, me celebrating my birthday is not a norm. She has an event for her birthday every year, and I have always celebrated her. So her attempt to gaslight me and try to make me feel bad for missing one dinner didn't work. And besides, her having a separate dinner wasn't even the original plan. The cabin trip was. She just decided last minute to do something different due to her own feelings. It's like she wanted me to feel the pressure of having to pick a side. She wanted me mentally and emotionally disturbed. So she kept trying to play this cat and mouse game, and she wasn't going to stop until I conformed with her toxic behavior. So at this point, I realized that this wasn't going to end unless I pumped the brakes. I started to realize that this is deeper than me. This is deeper than her. This is something spiritual, so I'm going to handle it as such. I was mentally and emotionally drained with all of her in and out behavior and all of her subliminal social media posts for those 2 months. I started to question myself even when I knew I did nothing wrong. I started to realize that this feeling was familiar and it brought me back to what she used to do in the past. It was at that very moment where I said, I'm done. Enough is enough. I will no longer be mentally and emotionally abused or manipulated by anyone anymore, especially if I've been nothing but good to them. A couple days passed and I text her to let her know that she would not be able to get her mail sent to my home anymore. Because yes, I was allowing her to use my address. And I also text her and I let her know that I think it's best that we end our relationship here. My text said, hey Joe, I've given this a lot of thought and I feel like it's best that we end our relationship here. I've sensed your disconnect from me over these past 2 months and it hasn't set well with my spirit. This relationship, as of recent, has taken a toll on my mental health and I can no longer tolerate the in and out, ghosting, manipulation, or gaslighting. I don't like how you tried to put me in the middle of you and our other sister's birthday cabin trip. I feel like you tried to make me choose between your dinner or the cabin. And when I made my choice to go to the cabin and not your dinner, you gaslit me by saying, well, I came to your birthday dinner, but okay. I have always celebrated you on your birthday. I never celebrate my birthday. And I didn't think the 1 year I decided to, you would take you showing up as an opportunity to use it against me when you didn't get your way. That isn't fair. You having a separate dinner was never known to me. And it was never in my budget to do 2 separate events when originally the cabin was for the both of y'all. I don't know what happened with the communication between you and our other sister, but y'all's planning had nothing to do with me. And I don't feel it was fair to insert me to pick a side. I don't like the repetitive cycle of you being in and out of my life. Prior to 2020, we weren't in communication for years. We reconnected in 2020. We went to Atlanta in November of 2020. And after that trip, you blocked me with no explanation. You texted me in 2021. We reconciled at our brother's wedding, and now you're ghosting me again. As of late, you have been making me feel exactly how mama has always made me feel. The way you've been acting towards me has brought up emotions in me that I thought I healed from. And through this separation caused by you, it has helped me to realize that I still have some work to do. I will no longer allow anyone to mentally and emotionally manipulate or abuse me when I have been nothing but good to them. I am not your enemy. I never was and I never will be. I tried my best to help you where I can, but I can only do so much. I never expected to have to close this cycle out with you for good, but I have to do what is necessary for my healing and my mental health. These past 3 years being reconnected with you has brought me a lot of joy. All of the concerts, dates, events, it has helped me along my way. I'm grateful for the time we've spent together. I pray all of your wishes are fulfilled and it'll always be love on my end. Take care, Joe. Now this is the message that she sent me in return. Our relationship has always consisted of ghosting due to you allowing someone, mama, to get in your head and change the way you feel about me. I'll start there. It was never me. I just simply got tired of you being weird and distant towards me, so I cut you off. That set the tone. We got past it, and now you're letting me know that you're in that space again mentally. Cool. Do whatever you need to do for you, because I'm gonna do whatever is necessary for me. Whatever mama made you feel is still lingering. I'm not making you feel any way compared to her. You just simply thought you healed in an area and didn't. I wish you would have communicated your feelings versus sitting on them and not communicating them well. I know the last event we had was the last time I seen you, and we really talked. We both know that. I called and checked on you after, and that was that. You never reached out to me. I know you said you don't call people, but the phone works 2 ways, sweetie. I'm not upset about our other sister changing it. I was just unaware and simply invited you to my dinner. You declined, and no, I didn't like it at first, but understood that your situation was what it was, and I have to respect that. Didn't try to put you in the middle of anything. You were clearly already feeling away because you're admitting it now, in which I could already tell long before I invited you to my dinner. Hope you get better with communicating your feelings, sis. See you at the cabin, love. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things that she said in her message. 1, mama was never able to get in my head. We never had a relationship. We rarely talked. And when we did, it especially wasn't on an intimate level. So that statement is false. But we both know that. 2, no. What actually set the tone of our relationship being rocky was you being envious of my relationship and trying to destroy it. You thought the energy was just going to fully go back to what it used to be when we were kids after humiliating me like that? No. Even with no apology from you, I moved past it and allowed you back in my energy. But your envy for me runs too deep for you to be in my presence for more than 6 months at a time. So the consistent on and off energy comes from you. 3, you can't tell me how to feel. Here you are yet again trying to gaslight me. You and that lady are one and the same. Both of you are mentally and emotionally abusive bullies. 4, you didn't wish I communicated. You wish I conformed and played your game, but I didn't, and you didn't like it. So you decided to take it far and not play fair. How you want me to communicate my problem, but you have a problem with me communicating my problem? 5, texting me, asking me if your mail arrived to my home is not checking on me. And we both know I'm not the one who needed to be checked on. 6, I'm not admitting to anything. I'm expressing to you that I sensed your disconnect and I'm not dealing with it anymore. And you could already tell because you caused the disconnect. 7, now we both know that I'm very vocal about how I feel to anyone about anything. You just didn't expect me to stand up for myself when it came to you because you have a God complex and you feel like no one can step to you. 8, saying see you at the cabin, love, after I just said I think it's best we end our relationship here, lets me know that you were willing to sabotage this trip no matter who you hurt just so you can feel in control. So after her message, I never responded, and I ended up texting the group chat to let them know that I won't be at any more future events because I have to take care of my mental health. My other sister, whose birthday we were also celebrating, decided to just cancel the whole cabin trip due to her own reasons, and that was that. Nothing else was said that night. The very next day at 5 p.m., I received a message from an unknown number from my sister. And this message let me know what I always knew, but I didn't want to believe. Her message said, running with the story that I'm mad over a dinner to cover up the fact and the real reason that you really have been feeling away for 2.5 whole months is actually hilarious. Whatever makes you look a certain way or make you feel good about yourself. You know the truth. That's why it's taking a toll on your mental. I've called you, checked in, called the kids. I sent pictures. You never contacted me because you don't call people. And I see why now, because you felt the way due to being triggered in whatever way that led you back to your past feelings, to the source of your trauma. The phone works more than one way, love. My character will always speak for itself. You know I'm the realest one. You said it 1,000,000 times. You're not stopping nothing. I'ma still be on the scene. We in the same circle. You cut me off, which is the norm. Nothing new. You've always done it when struggling with your emotions, thinking that I'm just automatically out of everything. That's a negative. We was kicking it long before you decided to crawl from under a rock, and it will continue. I'ma always show up. Ain't nobody gonna dim my light. How you moved showed how much you really haven't healed for real and just how messy you really are. This real life, no internet. And you suck at communicating. You need to learn how to face life and face people. Telling me what I need to talk about when you don't even know how to speak up for yourself. No, you need to take your own advice. And you couldn't even tell me why my mail couldn't get sent there. So you threw Kenneth in it to speak for you and lied because you don't know how to say what you really feel.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
There was no reason for real. It's simply because you and your feelings, that's personal, has nothing to do with me. You use cutting things out of your life and running to not face what's in front of you. You got lots of work to do, sweetie. Didn't I just say that I had lots of work to do? I speak and think for myself. I'ma always stand 10 toes behind myself. Always getting up, never laying there, 100. You can't manipulate me into thinking I've done anything to you because I know I didn't. I'm always 100, love. Never been your enemy, never made you feel like I was, but you've done it to me in the past, 100. Everything always go back to mama with you. You got to heal that. I'm going to just touch a couple of things in this message as well. 1, the truth is, at our last event, I was in a debate with someone in defense of you. So tell me again how I've been feeling away for the past 2 months. Me and you both know that I was the only genuine person in your corner. So if you're going to tell a lie, at least make it make sense. 2, again, texting me, asking me if your mail arrived to my home is not checking on me. And let's leave kids out of it because my two don't need check-ins from anyone. Me and my husband's children are well taken care of. 3, your weird behavior led me back to my past trauma, like I previously stated. Past trauma that you were a part of. 4, I'm not trying to stop you from being on whatever scene you claim to be on. That comment right there proves all along you were trying to isolate me because you thought I was in your way. 5, I struggled with my emotions because of you and the toxic family that we came from. But now that I have a voice and I know how to speak up for myself, you can't take it. 6, I'm not trying to dim whatever light you think you have. The truth is, you're jealous and you can't take this God-given glow. You loved when I was fat as hell and out the way, but now that I know who I am, you feel threatened. I know you would love to see me crawl back under that rock, boo, but it'll never happen. So sit back and enjoy the motherfucking show. 7, I know how to face life. I never needed any handouts from anyone, unlike you. You were coddled by that lady all the way up to your 30s. My whole life consisted of me facing it alone. 8, one thing about me, I'ma clock myself before anyone ever thinks they can because I know what I need to heal and I'm very vocal about it. Don't focus on my journey. Start yours. I never responded to her message and I got an email at 9 p.m. of the same message with the title, Farewell. At this point, I felt like she was harassing me and trying to antagonize me. I respectfully closed out this cycle. I never disrespected her. I never threw her trauma back in her face. I simply set a boundary and she couldn't respect it. I know she wanted me to act how I used to by throwing up things that she knew would be a trigger for me. But I didn't give her the satisfaction that she was so desperately seeking. She was sent on a mission by the devil himself to lower my vibration because I'm finally, for once in my life, happy and free. And she saw that and couldn't take it. She was threatened by my newfound confidence, happiness, and freedom. So she let the enemy use her and she attempted to put me back where I used to be, which was in mental and emotional bondage. She used my trauma as a way to bond with me and win me over, when in reality, she could never relate. Because again, she always had a tight relationship with the lady who caused me trauma. She was abusing me right along with her by trying to tarnish my image. She came around me to cloak herself in my energy and tried to vicariously live through me. She never liked me. She only grew to tolerate me. She was never happy for me. She was never proud of me. She was only using me for what she could get out of me. Everything she said in her message let me know how she's always felt. Growing up in the environment I did shaped me to be fearful, defensive, angry, insecure, and isolated. It shaped me to not have a voice. It shaped me to put others before myself. And it made me shut people out who probably had good intentions. I was in spiritual warfare my entire life and I had no clue. It ran in my family until it ran into me because that cycle is no longer. To my biological family, I pray you all get all that you deserve. And I pray that you all heal in all the areas you're hurting so that you can stop projecting your hurt, pain, and insecurities onto others. Thank you for all of the experiences, good and bad. I wouldn't be who I am today, and my relationship with God wouldn't be what it is today without those experiences. At first I was saying, why me? But now I completely understand it had to be me. To anyone watching who may be going through something similar, your voice matters. Your story matters. Don't stay anywhere you don't feel appreciated, loved, or respected, no matter if it's family, a friend, or a lover. Go where you are loved, valued, and celebrated. Always choose yourself. And always remember, anything sent in confusion is not of God. Anything disturbing your peace is not of God. Anything and anyone putting you in mental and emotional anguish is not of God. And anything that is not of God is of the enemy. Set those healthy boundaries with anyone, no matter the title. And if they can't respect it, they have to go. Don't waste your energy on trying to explain why you deserve their respect. They don't care. Because if they did, you wouldn't have to explain it in the first place. This healing journey isn't easy. and it wasn't meant to be. Weapons will be formed, but they will not prosper if God is on your side. Turn to God whenever you're facing challenges, whether big or small. It's never too late, and God will never leave you or forsake you. My name is Jackie, and this is my story. Thank you for sharing your space with me.